So I think this is actually a good talk to juxtapose against Robson's talk. Our company's actually done a lot of the things that you warn about. We've been doing this for about 10 years. We're still the same co-founding team. Our CEO, we understand, he's still our CEO. We've gone through multiple rounds of financing, and we still have control of the company. So I'm going to get into a lot of the reasons why I think why we've been able to maintain this success over the last 10 years. Last month, some of you may remember Ron from Hi Mama had this as part of his slide presentation. It's actually a study that CB Insights did, which analyzed a lot of the postmortem blog posts that startups wrote after they failed. And you can see there's a bunch of different reasons, and I started thinking about, well, what are some of the things that has made Flipp different? What are the things that we've done over the years that has allowed us this longevity and this continued success over the last 10 years? So I started thinking about this, and trying to condense 10 years of experience into 5 minutes is a bit of a challenge. But as I go through this, I want to really, anybody here who's looking to start a company and is still looking to start a company after some of the stuff that they heard Robson talk about, what they're able to do. So one of the first things that we talked about is having a shared vision and purpose. So even before we started the company, we spent a lot of time thinking about what it is that we wanted to build, what was the type of company that we wanted to build. And it's important that you have these conversations early on, because otherwise you're going to run into problems down the road. I look at starting a company similar to getting married. You have this piece of paper that's a signed contract, and kind of have these obligations to each other. And if you don't think really hard about that decision that you're going to make and who you're going to be spending a lot of your time with, actually, like my co-founders and I spend more time probably with each other than we do with our wives. So it's a really important thing to talk about. So one of the things that we did was we spent a lot of time thinking about this. We read a lot of books. One in particular was Built to Last by Jim Collins, and kind of outlining some of the traits that these visionary companies had. One company in particular, and the history behind how Bill Hewlett and David Packard started that company. Really, it was about building a company that would really outlast themselves. So for us, it was about building a company that was for the long term, that we would build something that had a positive impact on the world, that the people that were working for us had fulfilling careers and lives, and most importantly, that we're building here in Toronto, because that's where we lived, that's where our families were, and that's where our friends were. The next thing, after we decided to start the company, that we felt was really important, one of the keys to our success, is you have this active debate. And this is about going through a process of debating some of the important decisions at your company, like what product are we going to build, how are we going to test it, how are we going to bring this to market. And really, a sign of a very cohesive team is the willingness for them to debate the ideas and come up with the best answer. And that's how you're going to come up with the best possible solution, because there's going to be many different things that you're going to be faced. And nobody here is smart enough to come up with the right answer off the bat. You need to go through an intense round of debate. And our discussions get actually really intense. People, for the first time they see it, they're actually, whoa, what's going on there? And we still do this even to this day. Every month we have an exec meeting where we'll spend like 3, 4, 5, 6 hours just debating the direction of the company. And then, afterwards we'll go out for dinner and still be friends. The third thing is to be bold and not to quit. Starting the company, deciding to start the company, that's like day one. That's the first mile of a marathon that you're going to be running. And there's going to be a lot of obstacles that you're going to face over the months and years ahead. But you need to keep pushing. You're going to be doing a lot of things for the first time. You're going to be, I don't know what this is that we're doing, but really focusing as a team and being able to come up with the best plan of action and to execute on that plan and not to quit. So underlying a lot of this, I felt, and Andrew actually touched on this earlier, is it's really important to have trust on the team. Without trust, you're not going to be able to have these open discussions, talk with your co-founders, and actually really be honest about what it is that you're building. You're not going to be able to have debates where you're putting your ideas on the table up for other people to hammer on. And if you don't have trust, you're not going to be able to focus on execution because you'd be worried about whether or not the other people on your team are going to be doing their jobs. So trust may sound like a simple thing. Simple is not easy. Like having really heated discussions, especially with your friends, it feels a little weird at first, but it's necessary, and you're going to be going through a lot of discomfort. I mean, our tendency as human beings is to avoid pain and discomfort, and this really requires you to put yourself out there, make yourself vulnerable, have these discussions, because ultimately that's what's going to help you lead to the best decisions. So Williams came across a word that kind of summarized what we're thinking about and what we're trying to do, and the word is homothumadon, and it's a Greek word from the Bible. It's actually two words, rush along in unison, and the definition is about being of one mind, one accord, and one passion, and that's really what you need in your team. Everybody needs to be going in the same direction and building something together. The best example I can think of visualizing this is you're part of a dragon boat team. So imagine yourself one of these boats. You're in one of these boats, and you may not be the strongest, you may not be the best individually, but as a team, if you're all working together, that's what's going to get you to win. Everybody needs to be in sync. The leader needs to point you in the direction that you're going to go, and you just need to plow through. If you start getting out of sync, somebody starts paddling out of sync, somebody has to stop paddling, you're going to have problems. You're going to have dead weight on the boat, or worst comes to worst is like somebody starts paddling the opposite direction, slowing you down or changing the direction. And really that kind of exemplifies what it is that we're trying to do. And with that, I'll open it up to questions. You can throw it. Over there.
Okay, how did you manage disagreement in your team? With example, please.
Sorry, how do we?
So, for example, part of a team wanted to go one direction, the other part wanted to go the other direction. How did you manage that?
Right, so it's about having that debate. And one of the things that is really important is that you keep debating until there's agreement and you execute together. It's sometimes people, they will debate and they'll just give up after like a few hours. We would actually talk about this for 5-6 hours at a time, and it's really about, okay, what is it the best decision for the company? What is it that is going to make us successful, and really focusing on that as the outcome of any of the decisions that we made.
In those heated debates, do you ever find that personality overshines an idea? Is there ever one person that maybe their leadership style is overpowering, or?
For us, is actually we're all very passionate, so we didn't actually run into that scenario. My personality is more to kind of watch the debate happen and then really chime in my thoughts afterwards and really summarize everything. That's kind of how I played in with the team. But there wasn't any situations where like, oh my God, this person is just shouting the loudest, so we're going to do whatever they do. It was always about, what is the best decision possible, and focusing on that and not let the personalities or anything come into play. Yep.
Just a question for you. As you guys go through this massive growth that you've been going through the last little while, how are you taking steps to ensure you hold on to your culture, which is so important?
It has to be your primary job as a leader. It's one of these things that if you just leave it up to somebody else, or if you just, okay, we're just going to have like some program that when we onboard people, they're going to get brainwashed or anything. It really has to happen on a daily basis. anytime you're interacting with people, it's an opportunity to reinstill that culture in them. So taking the debates, for example, if you're in a meeting and you see that there's actually no debate, that's actually a really bad sign. And you need to start diving deeper and figuring out why, because it means that people aren't engaged and they just don't care. Last question? Or was that the last question? All right, thank you.